Hello, everyone. Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, where you probably shouldn't worry too much because it'll happen to you. Song X Song, another installment, and the two records that I selected for this one are two classics from Traffic. We've got John Barleycorn, Must Die, matched up with Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys. And wow, when I started thinking, okay, yeah, I found that they matched the same number of songs. Each release has 6 songs. And I thought, yeah, great, be a good match. But the more I started thinking about it, the more I started to dread doing this Song X Song because they're both such really good albums. I kept thinking to myself, would I be able to pick a winner between two songs matched up against each other? You know, and what about my favorites from each album? How are they going to match up with whatever track goes with them? So I was really kind of, nervous about this. I was feeling like I wouldn't be able to say, pick clear winners. But we're going to go through with this. Interestingly, John Barleycorn Must Die is the older album. It was released in 1970, and then Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys was released in 1971. I always thought it was the other way around, that this was released before this. Not the case. Although I was much more familiar with Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys, while I didn't get it at the time it was released. So 1971, I'm going to be like 13 years old. I didn't start listening to this until I was well into high school. So I'm thinking probably around my senior year in high school, and I just really, really loved the album. It was just absolutely brilliant. Shortly afterward, I became familiar with John Barleycorn, having heard it the first time, I think I'm going to say maybe my freshman year in college. So we're talking, 1976 and 1977, well after the release of these records. But, another really, really strong record. And as I say, 3 songs per side. And this, Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys certainly gets an award for, as you can see, this is a later release. But, for the uniqueness of the album cover in this very cool 3D kind of cubic, image. So yeah, let's get to it. So track 1 for each album are really strong openers for each one. We've got Hidden Treasure, which is a really excellent opener for Low Spark. It is so close in terms when I think of Glad being the opener here on John Barleycorn. It's Glad is a great opener. It's a bit funky, and I love the sax solo after the intro. As the song takes off, we've got that really cool sax solo. But I also really love the way Hidden Treasure beckons to the listener. Take a walk on down, take a walk on by the river. Okay, I'm not Stevie Winwood, all right? But, I just love the way that it does. It really kind of draws you in, really, really close between these two songs. The acoustic guitar on Hidden Treasure is just beautiful, perfect. But then the piano outro on Glad, which kind of then blends into a little bit of that with the saxophone coming in, and then it goes into Freedom Rider. But that piano outro clenches it for me with Glad. So I'm going to choose Glad as the winner and the opening track, Face Off. So we've got 1 for John Barleycorn and then 0 for Low Spark of High Heeled Boys. Well then, yeah, we get into track 2, okay? Track 2 for Low Spark is the titular song. And, you know, Freedom Rider is a great song in its own right. I really, truly love Freedom Rider. It comes in with such a smooth transition from Glad. And then that's bridged largely by the saxophone. And then the song has this quality of soaring, of really lifting up, which, you know, is suggested by the title, Freedom Rider. You know, so it's got that just, it is this ascension quality to it. Now, Low Spark of High Heeled Boys, forever, has just beguiled me. And in my listening, I was always trying to, you know, interpret what is he singing about. You know, it wasn't until I finally recognized that a lot of times, especially when we're younger, we tend to overthink and put too many attributes on a song and its lyrical content than are necessary. And a lot of times we manufacture concepts to go along with our reaction to a song that really don't, you know, belong, that really missed the mark. And I was doing that for a long time with Low Spark of High Heeled Boys. And with a lot of other songs, you know, once you apply the concrete interpretation, it is what it is, you know, then for me anyway, the song becomes even more enjoyable. You know, the percentage you're paying is too high a price while you're living beyond all your means. It really is I'm much more comfortable now with that being reflective of, you know, the pop star who's always on the road, you know, and working, and the man in the suit who just bought the new car and the profit he made for your dreams, you know, is the record exec, you know, who's getting all the cash, who's getting all the sweetness from the musician's hard work. But yeah, you know, today you read that the man was shot dead by a gun that didn't make any noise. And the high heeled boys, I mean, this is 1971. This is, you know, really, platform shoes are a big deal, okay? And with a lot of the bands at the time, that's, you know, what they were wearing, you know, on a very big spectrum, and it went on for, you know, several years. I mean, when I was in high school in the mid-70s, you know, platform shoes were still a thing. So, yeah, Low Spark to me is the winner, all right? Because it just has this sweeping and dreamlike timbre to it. And once you unpack it and try and accept it for what it is, rather than trying to force some kind of interpretation, you know, maybe too personal of an interpretation onto the song, you know, then it becomes even more enjoyable. The other thing I really love about this song is, in some respects, the simplicity of it, because, I mean, it opens so eerily and it fades in, you know, with this very dreamlike quality with that saxophone. And I always loved that. And there was a time in my 20s, I mean, I was a saxophone player through high school, and I was more than competent at playing the saxophone, but I didn't pursue it any further than high school. And later in my 20s, I went and rented a saxophone and started playing by ear with songs, because I began to realize, one, I could pick up a song by ear and play it on the saxophone. And I also began to realize the importance of scales. So learning scales was, I was on this quest to, practice, not just practice scales to improve dexterity, etc., but to learn the scales, because if you know a scale, you know what to play. Okay, even without, I can read music. But still, you could, knowing the scales, it makes it even easier to pick up playing by ear. So I did that for a while, and Low Spark of High Heeled Boys was the song that I did that with. But of course, I kind of lost interest in that anyway, and it just happens. Anyway, let's move on. It's now 1-1. Low Spark 1 to John Barleycorn 1. Track 3 for these records, we have Light Up and Leave Me Alone from Low Spark, and then we have the titular song, or excuse me, not the titular song. We have Empty Pages coming up for John Barleycorn. And Empty Pages is a good song. It's a good song. Yeah, that's what I'll say. It's a good song. But Light Up or Leave Me Alone, to me, is so much better. It's got that, again, that kind of funk groove to it, but also the sentiment of the lyrics, people coming and messing with you and bringing all this jive vibe and everything. And man, it's like, if you ain't gonna light up, man, just leave me alone, okay? And that is so perfect, especially, for the time, 1971. Okay, we've got, that brings us after this one to Low Spark has 2 tracks against 1 for John Barleycorn. Now we come to track 4 for the albums. And we have Stranger to Himself, track 4 on John Barleycorn, and then Rock and Roll Stew. So there's a nice guitar jam in Stranger that provides, more punch for an already pretty punchy song. And the acoustic guitar in here is also a very nice touch, like the way that is brought in. Rock and Roll Stew is just, again, a great rhythm and funk feel. It just drives really, really well. It's a great reflection about being on the road and all its demands and everything. We get another dig in with the song on the Suits, the record company execs. He's got that lyric in the song, sitting near a suit whose red neck's glowing, his eyes are moving, but there's no life showing. God, such a beautiful line. So on this one, I'm going with Rock and Roll Stew for the win. So, we've got a pretty strong lead here with Low Spark having 3 better tracks than John Barleycorn with 1. Well, now we come to track 5, and we have Many a Mile to Freedom from Low Spark. And then we have the titular song, John Barleycorn, for this record, And Many a Mile to Freedom is a beautiful song. But John Barleycorn is epic. The story is as old as time. And it's just a magnificent story tale, very traditional. This is a story that goes back centuries. And the life that Stevie Winwood and Traffic breathes into this song that has existed for centuries is just phenomenal. And I love the story, how John Barleycorn is treated with such tremendous respect for the most part, except for the miller, how he treats him, grinds him between two stone. But John Barleycorn's death is necessary for the village to survive. You know, the tinker, the tailor, the smithies, all the other people of the village. If it weren't for John Barleycorn, they would have no business. So he is honored even in death. It is such a great song. And like I say, they really breathe amazing life into it. So yeah, you've got Chris Wood on flute and percussion, and you've got Jim Capaldi on tambourine and vocals, along with Stevie Winwood on the acoustic guitar, piano, and vocals. Just a beautiful, beautiful song. So John Barleycorn's the clear winner for me. All right, so now we've got 3 for Low Spark and 2 for John Barleycorn. And now we come to the final songs for each record. Okay, it's 3-2. And we have Every Mother's Son from John Barleycorn matched up against Rainmaker from Low Spark. Rainmaker, to me, the lyrics are perfect, whether you take them literally or metaphorically. You know, Rainmaker, Rainmaker, you turn the cloud, you turn the skies gray and bring rain. You know, could be a literal, statement of like a rainmaker, a sage or some kind of mystic, who brings the rain for the people, for the farmers, etc. Which makes it a really good follow to John Barleycorn. But then you can also take it metaphorically, because there really isn't anything else to the song beyond those lyrics. Rainmaker, Rainmaker, you can make the clouds gray, so a depressing person can come into your life and be a rainmaker and just turn the sky gray on you. So yeah, it can go either way. And to me, that's a hallmark of really good songwriting, when you can listen to the lyrics and take them for their literal meaning, and you can also take them in a metaphorical sense, and it works just excellently either way. Musically, for every mother's son, for some reason I want to say Mother Nature's son, but no. Musically, it's strong and full, but lyrically it's a bit sparse, which may sound a little ironic, given there isn't a whole lot in terms of the lyrical content with Rainmaker, but the meaning and the picture created by the lyrics in Rainmaker is so much more effective and is bigger than the lyric content of Every Mother's Son. So that makes, in my view, Rainmaker the winner. So out of the 2 records, Low Spark of High Heel Boys, 4 to John Barleycorn, 2. I really thought it was going to be closer, but yeah, when I started listening to these records opposing each other, I mean, this is a wonderful, wonderful album. By no means am I saying that this album is a dud or doesn't live up to any, expectations of quality. It's a really, really good album. But yeah, the songs overall on Low Spark of High Heel Boys are better, and I feel like there was a more mature thought going into their construction. which kind of makes sense because, again, this was 1970, this was a year later, so the band and Stevie Winwood and Capaldi and the others are all maturing in a way with their music creation. And so not surprising so much in that respect. So what do you think of my ranking of the songs here on this Song X song between these two really outstanding releases? Leave a comment in the down under. I enjoy getting those comments from you. And even if you're already subscribed, hit the like button because it does help with the distribution of my content, because it, fires up the YouTube algorithms for greater distribution. Remember that you can find me as well on Instagram as NewsDude76. My handle there is NEWZDUDE76. So yeah, I'm posting, mostly it's, related to records that I will post on Instagram, but I post a lot of other things too on Instagram. And then be sure to look me up in not just YouTube. That's where you are. You're here on YouTube right now. You don't need to look me up. But on Facebook, where I go by a Facebook page called Calvin Wazoo. So my videos from here, from YouTube, I post there, but I also post other YouTube content as well as other article, all musically related to that page. So, hey, like that page too, please. But comments, yes, I do like them. And remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.